Pugilist Place Podcast, broadcasting live from historic downtown Riverside, California. My name is Lawrence Mejia. We are beyond thankful that you are here. Please follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Pugilist Place. Lastly, please visit our website, thepugilistplace.com, for all things boxing. Before we get started, in these extraordinary times that we all currently are living in, we just wanted to express our well wishes to you and your family and hope that everybody out there is safe and healthy. Like all boxing fans, we eagerly await the safe return of boxing events. All right, let's get right to it. In this abbreviated episode, I will discuss the recent news that a heavyweight unification bout between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua is reportedly in negotiations. And also, we will talk about Golden Boy Promotions' planned attempt to stage its first post-COVID-19 event with Ryan Garcia on July 4th. So, last week, ESPN's Mark Kriegel cited sources which claim that discussions have begun on a heavyweight megafight unification bout between WBC and lineal champion Tyson Fury and unified WBA, IBF, WBO titleist Anthony Joshua. Fury's advisor, MTK Management, is said to be in negotiations with Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, due to apparent hostilities that exist between Hearn and Fury's co-promoter, Frank Warren. The contest is tentatively scheduled for late in 2020. MTK Management is currently fielding offers to host the fight from various locations, including Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia hosted the Anthony Joshua-Andy Ruiz rematch last December, which saw Joshua regain the unified heavyweight crown via 12-round unanimous decision. An enticing component to staging the event in Saudi Arabia is the exorbitant site fee that the Middle Eastern country is likely to pay. According to reports, the Saudi kingdom paid upwards of $50 million to host Joshua Ruiz 2. In the likely scenario that a live audience will be prohibited or admitted in limited capacity, such a hefty site fee could help promoters recoup some of the money that is lost from a diminished or absent live gate. But standing in the immediate way of this proposed super fight are two fighters that already have inked contracts to face Fury and Joshua. Shortly after enduring his first career defeat, a 7th-round technical knockout at the hands of Fury in their rematch in February, Deontay Wilder exercised his option for an immediate rematch. The exact date of that third fight, which was originally scheduled for the summer, has been pushed back due to the coronavirus. Although many boxing pundits have expressed that Wilder would best be served by taking a few interim fights before challenging Fury again, Wilder has given no indication that he plans on stepping aside. Shelley Finkel, Wilder's co-manager, told ESPN, that Deontay's camp was unaware of any negotiations between Fury and Joshua, and that Wilder fully intends that his next fight will be against Fury. Similarly, Kubrat Pulev, the mandatory IBF challenger, was next in line to challenge Joshua before their showdown was delayed due to COVID-19. Pulev, who has won 8 fights in a row since losing to Vladimir Klitschko by knockout in 2014, has given every indication that he will not step aside and relinquish his shot against Joshua. If both Wilder and Pulev refuse to step aside and follow through with their contracted next opponents once boxing resumes, the possibility of Fury Joshua in 2020 might go out the window. Now, it remains to be seen if a large sum of money can compel Fury or Pulev to step aside. Perhaps an added incentive in Fury's case would be the additional promise of facing the winner. We don't know. Would it be $1 million? Would it be $5 million to get one of those two fighters to step aside? Or in this current climate where boxing matches are being staged without live audiences, I mean, is that an unheard of amount to offer a fighter to step aside? That we don't yet know. Additionally, at 39 years old, Pulev's window to become heavyweight world champion just might be closing. Lastly, should social distance guidelines still not be eased by the end of the year, would the powers that be still be willing to forego the revenue of a live gate, as well as the incredible atmosphere that would be created by potentially holding the event at a 100,000 seat stadium in lieu of staging the event behind closed doors? Many questions still remain that will be hopefully answered as the picture of how the sport of boxing will look in the post-coronavirus world gradually comes into focus. Will these fighters be willing to fight behind closed doors? Max Kellerman famously said about the Anthony Joshua-Vladimir Klitschko fight in 2015 that it was the greatest live, it wasn't just the greatest boxing event that he had ever been to, it was the greatest sporting event he had ever been to, because it was held in a atmosphere with 100,000+ fans screaming, excited to watch really the emerging young Anthony Joshua dethrone the long reigning heavyweight champion Vladimir Klitschko. So we have a lot of questions still that remain to be answered. We will, as these promoters are scrambling with state regulatory committees and various commissions, they're trying to see what's possible in terms of staging events with the ongoing coronavirus. We'll see just what kind of product we will get going forward. Let's move on now to Golden Boy Promotions and their anticipated first post-coronavirus event being staged on July 4th. Oscar De La Hoya was recently making the rounds on various media platforms and speaking with various journalists and interviewees about when he would like to relaunch Golden Boy Promotions. Now, a much anticipated bout between Ryan Garcia and Jorge Linares originally was tentatively penciled in for July at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. That appeared to fall by the wayside when the ongoing pandemic froze all boxing operations in the United States and most internationally. In a recent interview with Kevin Iole of Yahoo Sports, former 6th Division World Champion Oscar De La Hoya, who is the CEO and chairman of Golden Boy Promotions, stated that, quote, "My plan is to come back big with Ryan Garcia on July 4th, which is a huge holiday for America. So my idea was to give America, the fans, the world a treat with Ryan Garcia in a great fight with Jorge Linares." Garcia, whose record is 20-0 with 17 knockouts, appeared to be set to face former 3-division world titleist Linares in what would have been the stiffest challenge of his young career. Last February, on Valentine's Day, Garcia of Victorville, California, knocked out two-time world title challenger Francisco Fonseca in the first round at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. It was the second first-round stoppage in a row for the 21-year-old phenom with over 6 million Instagram followers, who also knocked out Romero Duno in round 1 as the co-main event to Canelo Alvarez-Sergey Kovalev at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas last November. And I just want to make a point to comment on the 6 million Instagram followers. I know there's a lot of derision whenever that number is thrown out there, whether it be in an interview or a DAZN program. And I could really understand that if Ryan Garcia wasn't showing the ascension that he currently is. With every step up he's made under the tutelage of Eddie Reynoso, he's demonstrated that he's up to the task. And if he was just kind of, if he wasn't making that progression and outlets were still throwing out that number, okay, I could see, okay, then what's the significance of that number? But given that he is ascending, that 6 million Instagram follower, social media following is a big deal. Boxing is a sport that needs stars. And he is showing with his ability and his marketability to be an emerging star. So that is newsworthy, in my opinion. Fighting as the co-feature to Ryan Garcia and Francisco Fonseca last February, Linares, whose record is 47 wins, 5 losses, and 29 KOs, 34 years old, residing in Tokyo, Japan, put forth an impressive performance in which he dealt the sturdy veteran Carlos Morales the first knockout defeat of his professional career in the 4th round. The dual victories by Linares and Garcia seemed to set the stage for an awaited showdown between both fighters, which became blurred with the onset of the pandemic, but now, according to De La Hoya, appears to be coming back into focus. With that being said, some in the media have reported, despite De La Hoya's comments, that Linares is currently out of the United States and current international travel bans would prohibit him from returning in time to meet Garcia in the ring by the July 4th date. Furthermore, Eric Gomez, the president of Golden Boy Promotions, shared with ESPN that while the company is aiming to hold an event on Independence Day, nothing is yet confirmed. With national shutdown guidelines set to expire and many states beginning to open or reopen their economies, the question emerges of how boxing events will take place in the United States post-coronavirus. De La Hoya concedes that exactly how fight cards will appear is not yet entirely known due to state and local government officials overseeing the reopening. De La Hoya was quoted as saying, quote, "It all depends on our mayor, with our governor, because as you know, safety's first," close quote. Regardless of the exact contours of the first fights to take place, one thing is most likely certain. Absent a vaccine or COVID-19 treatment, they will take place without a live audience. Nevertheless, De La Hoya does not believe that the lack of a live audience will greatly affect the future performances of his stable of fighters, in particular, Garcia. De La Hoya was quoted as saying, quote, "When Ryan Garcia gets in the ring, he gives his all, whether it's sparring, whether it's fighting. I don't think I see a difference in Garcia's effort with having people or no people in the audience. When you step inside that ring and the bell rings, it's tunnel vision. It's focused. You're there to win a fight. You're there to knock your opponent out, so hopefully it won't affect him," close quote. And I believe Garcia has expressed his willingness to fight behind closed doors without a live audience. This is not uniform. Teofimo Lopez has come out and said that he will not fight Lomachenko without a live audience. And I believe he won't fight, period, with a live audience. Somebody like Chris the Nightmare Areola recently in a PBC podcast said that there's not too much of a difference between sparring and fighting before a live audience. When he was sparring, he was trying to give it his all and best his opponent, and the same thing is true in the ring. So there are going to be differing opinions on this new normal that we're living in, given which fighter you're asking. And many fighters are going to have to ask themselves this question: are they going to want their careers to move forward? And if so, in the post-coronavirus world, they're going to have to fight, at least for the time being, without live audiences. And so if they're unwilling to do so, then they're going to have to press the pause button on their careers. And it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. It looks, there doesn't seem to be an issue with prospects and contenders fighting these fights, maybe in a studio somewhere or in a hotel ballroom. The real question mark comes into play when we're talking about the Canelos, the Anthony Joshuas, the heavyweight unification bouts, where you would have tremendous live gates. I believe the live gate for Wilder Fury 2 was something like $17 million. And so are promoters and fighters going to gamble that, a year from now, or hopefully optimistically by the beginning of 2021, we'll have a vaccine or a treatment for the pandemic? Are they going to gamble and say, okay, we're going to wait it out? We'll see. And remember, Deontay Wilder's 34, and so he'll be coming up on 35. He's, most of the main fighters are in their 30s, which, they're not old, but They're not in their late 20s either. So we'll see how this all plays out as we're gathering news and information and attempting to piece out exactly how this sport that we all love and care so much about will take place in the months ahead. So it looks like we're all out of time for today. Again, this was an abbreviated podcast. We will be back at it on Sunday. We appreciate you tuning in and listening to us. So until next time, this has been Lawrence Mejia, asking all of you to be safe and reminding you, keep punching.